Could Ethereum hit $14,000 this year by the end of 2021? Well, there is some precedent for it on the charts. We're going to take a look at that as well, of course, as the Bitcoin chart and all of the news driving markets today. You don't want to miss this one. Let's go. What is up, everybody? I'm Scott Melker, also known as the Wolf of All Streets. Before we get started, please go ahead and subscribe to the channel and hit that like button down below. Now, as I said, we're seeing calls for $14,000 Ethereum by the end of 2021. I think that could likely be a stretch, but I have been a huge Ethereum proponent and bull, talking about $10,000 targets in the next year and potentially seeing $20,000, $30,000 targets way down the road. But we're going to take a look now at the Bitcoin and Ethereum charts and all the news that's driving markets. Now let's take a look at the Bitcoin daily chart right here. If you've been watching my videos, following my newsletter, I had a free newsletter yesterday. I said that I was really expecting a bit of retracement here. We had 8 days in a row of green candles, actually maybe almost 9, depending on the exchange that you're looking at, which usually means there's going to be a bit of healthy retracement before continued movement up. We had a lot of signals here, strong resistance and also bearish divergences on every time frame from the 12-hour down. People tend to get euphoric at resistance and bearish at support. As you saw around 30,000, the community was extremely bearish and I was calling for price to go up. At resistance here, people were getting extremely bullish and I was calling for price to get down. Well, if you look at yesterday's analysis, things are happening exactly as we thought they might. We had the breakout from this daily channel, and now we have the retest of the top of it that I said was very likely. I even said potentially with a wick down in the newsletter. For now, we have that, but we may get a bit deeper retracement. I can't confidently say that this is going to stop here, but this is the move that we were looking for. Interestingly, if you look at moving averages here, we're broke above the 50, which is really bullish with a strong move. Maybe it comes back down to test that as that moves up 35, 36,000, something like that. But we have not been trading above the 50 for quite a while, still under the 200. For people who use EMAs, however, which are exponential moving averages, if you don't know the difference, a moving average is the average of the price of all of the candles before, 50 candles for a 50 MA on that time frame. EMAs give exponential weight to more recent price. So actually EMAs make a lot more logical sense, but at the end of the day, you want to be watching the one that everybody's watching, and people seem to be more concerned with MAs than EMAs at the moment. But as you can see, this is the 21, 50, and 200. Price is trading above all of the key EMAs on the daily chart. That's pretty bullish, and this 200 is in confluence with the top of this channel. So this could really be the end of this quick down move if we are going to continue up. Although, once again, would not be surprised to see it come down here, test like the 50, 21, this whole area. But all of these EMAs are kind of pointing up and turning in the right direction. Here's the Bollinger Bands I've talked about countless times. As I mentioned yesterday, once you get out on top of these bands, you expect price to mean revert and come back in and consolidate before continuing up. I drew this, said this is what was likely to happen. That is what we're seeing right now. We're back inside the bands, probably get a little sideways action if we're going to continue up. Looking at the 4-hour chart, obviously we had this massive bearish divergence. I pointed it out a number of times on the 12-hour, the 6-hour, the 4-hour, the 1-hour, everything down from the 12-hour basically. It would have been a huge departure from history to not see some retracement on a bearish divergence like that. Same thing as watching them on the bottom when we get bullish divergences and price goes up. 4-hour has been very reliable for calling tops and bottoms using this technique. That said, after you have a bearish divergence, you look for hidden bullish divergence, which is a continuation sign. That's a lower low on RSI and a higher low on price, basically the opposite of a bullish divergence. And that signals that there's likely continuation and somewhat cancels the bearish divergence. As you can see right now, we potentially have hidden bullish divergence if we get this clear elbow up on RSI, but we have, as I'm recording this, 2.5 more hours to see. Any price above this area around 36,600, 36,700, if price bounces above that, we would get this hidden bullish divergence, right? Because you would already have the lower low in RSI and you would have a higher low in price. That's why I said we probably get some small retracement on the bear div, but nothing to panic over. It's probably a healthy correction before continuing back up. So that is still what I am looking for on Bitcoin. This played out exactly as I was looking for, so now it'll be interesting to see what comes next. Now we're going to take a very quick look at the Ethereum Bitcoin chart. Interestingly, as Bitcoin has retraced a bit, we've seen a nice little bounce on Ethereum Bitcoin, which could mean that if we consolidate here and go sideways, no major drop, no major pump on Bitcoin, we could see some actual nice altcoin action on the Bitcoin pairs. So we could see altcoins rise a bit against Bitcoin. It was interesting that we did not see a drop here on Ethereum Bitcoin as Bitcoin dropped. At the end of the day, Ethereum Bitcoin is still ranging, but it's nice. It's ranging at the top of this huge pump right here, and after a breakout of this massive descending pattern. Ethereum Bitcoin still macro looks exceptionally good. If you're someone who likes to use descending lines, perhaps you draw this one here. It almost has 3 touches, and you decide that this is breaking out if it heads up. Ethereum USD looks a lot like the Bitcoin USD chart. Of course, we have a major range after dropping instead of where you see on the Ethereum Bitcoin pair, we have a major range after rising. That said, we're only at the EQ of the range, and price has managed to hold the EQ of the range here for quite a bit, but it's looking a bit shaky, let's be honest. We have very clear bearish divergence here as well on the Ethereum USD chart, usually as a reflection of what's happening on the Bitcoin chart after already going into overbought. Here with RSI and any price printing above like 2167 would obviously give us that hidden bullish divergence here as well. So it'll be interesting to watch this pair. Maybe it gives us a bit of information as to what's coming for Bitcoin. Now we're going to dive into the lead story I talked about before on the news, which sounds crazy, but there is some precedent here on the chart. Ethereum price can hit 14K if the March 2020 chart fractal holds. One trader spotted the fractal, which employs 3 classic technical indicators to predict an upside trend for Ethereum. As you can see, they use basically the 50-day simple moving average, a Fibonacci channel, and a relative strength index. The basic idea here is that once price has broken above that 50-day SMA, the 50-day moving average, with RSI coming into this area that we've generally seen massive moves to the upside in the past. This is definitely worth looking at. It's on Cointelegraph. I don't want to give you guys the full rundown because it's easy for you to go ahead and read it. But the idea being here that we've seen on numerous occasions when there's a confluence of these 3 indicators coming together, we see a massive pump, which would send price about 14,000 by the end of the year. Pretty crazy, but it could certainly happen. Now, story everyone loves, Microstrategy plans to continue amassing Bitcoin. The Virginia-based company now holds more than 105,000 Bitcoins. They just reported Q2 earnings. That's why this is a story. And from quarter to quarter, they saw about a $400 and something million loss on their Bitcoin holdings, but are still up over $1 billion on their Bitcoin. What's interesting here is that MicroStrategy reported 125.4 million in revenue for the quarter, a 13.4 increase over its performance for the same period a year ago. They're still performing much, much better than they were in 2020 and largely based on their Bitcoin holdings. But most importantly, we continue to be pleased by the results of the implementation of our digital asset strategy. Going forward, we intend to continue to deploy additional capital into our digital asset strategy. Bottom line, Michael Saylor and MicroStrategy are going to buy, and keep buying Bitcoin. These guys will provide a floor for all of us, and they are the heroes that we need but don't deserve. Next story. We have to be in the crypto space. Mastercard CEO says Mastercard is angling to become the go-to for governments and private entities when testing and rolling out central bank digital currencies or stablecoins. We are seeing a massive battle between Visa and Mastercard now for supremacy in the crypto space. Both realize that they need to be the rails for this in the future, or they are going to get left behind. Credit cards, banks, crypto is the largest threat to all of these companies, right? I mean, at the end of the day, these are payment companies, and that's what crypto does best. So they're trying to incorporate it into their future strategy. Very smart, because otherwise they will get absolutely smoked. Visa says crypto purchases during this spring's price peak boosted cross-border volumes during fiscal Q3. Well, this makes a lot of sense, because that basically means that people were buying crypto on exchanges across border with their credit card when price was booming. They've obviously seen a dip down now as prices have dropped. Makes a ton of sense, but interesting that this had a legitimate effect on their earnings and what was happening with Visa during that quarter. And finally, Binance to shut down crypto derivatives trading in Europe. Binance moves to suspend derivatives trading in Europe, starting with Germany, Italy, and Netherlands. I do not know what is going on with Binance, but they are having problems all over the world. It's very clear that, as I said yesterday, there's something going on that we don't all quite know about with regulation. FTX moving to only 20x leverage. Only 20x leverage, still way too much. Binance moving to 20x leverage from 125x. And now we're seeing pressure from countries all over the world and a complete shutdown likely of derivatives trading for Binance in Europe. Clearly, they're trying to get ahead of whatever regulation is coming and to be compliant. But if you're a trader in Europe, you're going to have to find somewhere else to trade with leverage. Guys, that is it for today. Really exciting to announce that today I'm starting a new Friday show every 2 p.m. called Bullish on Bitcoin with a guest who's going to look at the charts and we're going to talk everything Bitcoin. And today's guest is none other than trading legend Peter Brandt. You guys do not want to miss that at 2 p.m. EDT today. Now, also, check out everything I got going on down in the description. Yesterday's newsletter was free. You can check that out online. Also, some links to Compass Mining, Femex, who's giving away up to $1,200 for registering on their site and depositing Bitcoin. Guys, that is it. I will see you all at 2 p.m. today. Peace.